What's up, you guys? We back with another bang, another video, giving you everything you need to prepare for your upcoming quiz. Alrighty. Still dealing with the causes of the American Revolution. First things first, let's dive into the Townshend Act. Townshend Act, 1767, you guys, long story short, was another British tax law that taxed paper, tea, glass, lead, and paints. And it just added more fuel to the fire to the already hostile environment and relationship between the British colonists and the British monarchy and government. Boston Massacre. We dove deep into this topic today and talked about it in depth. But long story short, it was a tragic event, turning point in the causes of the American Revolution, really led to the greater fighting and the full-on scale war later on. But let's talk about it. So the Boston Massacre, as you can see, it was a skirmish between the Patriots and Loyalists, or British soldiers, in downtown Boston on King Street. So what happened? A group of kids began to taunt the British sentry, or soldiers. The sentry went over and clubbed one of them. The sentry is the guard of the custom house. That's where they were collecting taxes and holding revenue from those taxes. The crowd then began to throw tomatoes, oyster shells, snowballs, etc. The Boston Massacre, of course, was not a massacre, as it says, in the classic sense, aka massive bloodbath. And we think of a massacre, you guys, it's like, you got hundreds of people just slaughtered, but this wasn't the case. It was about 5 people that were killed. If we go back to that image, the image kind of makes it look like the British soldiers are just so evil. They're just slaughtering and shooting the colonists, unarmed colonists down. But it wasn't necessarily that. This image, once again, go back a little bit, was created by Paul Revere to depict the British soldiers in the worst way, right? Because they were pushing a propaganda initiative, trying to gain as much support for the Patriot side against the British as possible, right? Because they wanted to separate eventually. Even at this point, they were in the modes of kind of separating from Great Britain then, some of those colonial leaders. And this allowed them to continue to gain more and more support for that Patriot agenda. So, were the soldiers guilty? Yes. There's a clip I'm going to show you guys probably on Thursday as part of our review about John Adams. And he was a patriot, but he represented the British soldiers in their trial. And they actually most of them got off free. There was 2 of them that they were branded on their thumbs. 2 of them that shot early on. But other than that, they didn't have any major consequences that they had to face. And many of the colonists, the patriot colonists, were upset about that. But it sparked initial fighting, really. Crispus Attucks was the man who was killed in the Boston Massacre. Let me go back one more time, y'all. He was actually a black former slave who was a sailor at the time, was killed. And is sometimes considered to be, in my eyes, considered to be the first person killed in the American Revolution. All right, let's talk about the Boston Tea Party. Now, that is the next event that kind of sparked off, which was another series of protests. This was an organized protest where the Sons of Liberty, they went on the Boston Harbor dressed as Mohawk Indians, and they dumped tea that was owned by Great Britain and their British East India Company into the Boston Harbor. Right? A lot of money just gone, right? Great Britain was trying to monopolize the tea industry in the colonies. They had it at a cheap price, and they were going to pretty much make a lot of money off of the colonists, and run a lot of the tea merchants that were already there selling out of business. But to kind of avoid this and to protect this and to just protest against Great Britain's laws, which was, the Tea Act, was also a problem with that as well. They dumped the tea in the harbor as a protest against all of that. And long story short, this created another series of events. So like with all these things happening, you guys, there's a bunch of cause and effects going on here. Colonists are doing one thing to fight against the British. The British are doing something to kind of put the colonists in their place and passing laws without their representation or without their say. And it's just creating a bunch of havoc, right? And really it's tensing up their relationship, making it really, really tense and deteriorating it at the same time. So that's about all we need to know. Just a quick recap today. This is going to be some additions to what we've already discussed that's going to be added to our quiz on Thursday. And if you have any other questions, you can ask me in class or see me on the halls. We will do an extensive review on Thursday for sure. And as always, you guys, it's grind time.